पशुपति तनया बाल गजानन पशुपति तनया बाल गजानन तुम हो विघ्न विनाश गणेश तुम हो विघ्न विनाश गणेश हे शिवनंदन भाल गजानन हे शिवनंदन भाल गजानन विद्या बुद्धि प्रदाता विद्या बुद्धि प्रदाता मंगल कर मंगल कर मंगल कर मंगल कर सुंदर साई गणेश गणेश सुंदर साई गणेश पशुपति तनया बाल गजानन तुम हो विघ्न विनाश गणेश हे शिवनंदन भाल गजानन विद्या बुद्धि प्रदाता मंगल कर मंगल कर सुंदर साई गणेश गणेश सुंदर साई गणेश पशुपति तनया बाल गजानन
गरुड वाहना नारायण गरुड वाहना नारायण शेष शयना नारायण शेष शयना नारायण गरुड वाहना नारायण श्री लक्ष्मी रमण नारायण Om Hari Om Narayana. Hari Om Narayana. Garuda Vahana Narayana. Shayana Narayana. Garuda Vahana Narayana. Sri Lakshmi Ramana Narayana. Sri Lakshmi Ramana Narayana. Sri Lakshmi Ramana Narayana. Hari Om Narayana. Hari Om Narayana. Garuda Vahana Narayana.
जय 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 हे मधुसूदना जय 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 हे मधुसूदना जय वृंदावन मनमोहना जय वृंदावन मनमोहना जय 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 हे मधुसूदना सुंदर साई शिरडी बिहारी सुंदर साई परती बिहारी सुंदर साई शिरडी बिहारी सुंदर साई धरती बिहारी राधे श्याम 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 साई राम 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 जय 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 हे मधुसूदना जय वृंदावन मनमोहना जय 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 हे मधुसूदना सुंदर साई शिरडी बिहारी सुंदर साई परती बिहारी राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम साई राम 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 जय 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 हे मधुसूदना
पुण्य नाम पवित्र नाम राम नाम साई राम पुण्य नाम पवित्र नाम राम नाम साई राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम मधुर नाम साई राम पुण्य नाम पवित्र नाम राम नाम साई राम करुण सिंधु सीताराम दीन बंधु हरीश्याम करुण सिंधु सीताराम दीन बंधु हरीश्याम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम मधुर नाम साई राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम मधुर नाम साई राम पुण्य नाम पवित्र नाम राम नाम साई राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम मधुर नाम साई राम पुण्य नाम पवित्र नाम राम नाम साई राम करुण सिंधु सीताराम दीन बंधु हरीश्याम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम मधुर नाम साई राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम मधुर नाम साई राम पवित्र नाम राम नाम साई राम
करुणा सिंधु विठ्ठलाचे
Remind me, my Lord. 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 I am home, I am home, eternal home. I am home, 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 I am home, eternal home. Through this life of distraction and of illusion, remind me, my Lord, who I am. Through this life of distraction and of illusion, remind me, my Lord, who I am truth, I am peace, divine bliss. I am truth, I am peace, divine bliss. Ananda Swarupa, Prema Swarupa, remind me, my Lord, who I am. Ananda Swarupa, Prema Swarupa, remind me, my Lord, who I am. I am love, I am love, you are love. I am love, 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 I am love, you are love. Remind me, my Lord, remind me, my Lord, remind me, my Lord, who I am. I am home, I am home, eternal home. Through this life of distraction and of illusion, remind me, my Lord, who I am. I am truth, I am peace, divine bliss. Ananda Swarupa, Prema Swarupa, remind me, my Lord, who I am. I am love, you are Remind me, my Lord. Remind me, my Lord. Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Radhe Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Jai Shri Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Shirdi Krishna, Parti Krishna, Sai Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Shirdi Krishna, Pariti Krishna, Sai Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Radhe Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Jai Shri Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Hey, Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna, Radhe. My most loving pranams at the lotus feet of my Lord, my God, my Sri Satya Sai. Dearest elders, brothers and sisters, Om Sai Ram. Jantunam Nara Janma Durlabham was a phrase that I learned very young, and Adi Shankara wrote it in the treatise Viveka Chudramani, where he says how fortunate it is to have this birth as a human being. And when I was thinking about this driving in, I was wondering how fortunate we are, not only to be born as humans, but to be able to come for a satsang like this, in the presence of our master, in the comforts of this beautiful ashram, and on top of that, to be able to listen to some renowned speakers share with us words of wisdom, followed by, of course, our divine discourse from our Lord. Without taking too much time, I'd like to introduce the three speakers that are going to be addressing us this evening. The first speaker is my dearest elder brother, Isaac, who really doesn't need an introduction for all the things he's done and the colorful life he's led. But one thing that I learned yesterday, as I was talking to him last night, was this amazing work that he's doing right now, collecting all these discourses and producing these books, the Uvacha series. And he was saying at the rate that his team is working, which is, by the way, a multinational global team, he'll be up to 59 books, possibly, by the time it's all done. And just amazing. Everything is available online on the website, Prakashana website, which I strongly encourage all of you who've not seen it to go and download and read all these amazing discourses that Swami has shared. The second speaker this evening will be Sri Srinivasa, possibly my most favorite speaker. Once again, doesn't need much of an introduction. The amazing work that he's done, building a hospital, leading the construction of the Whitefield Hospital in Bangalore, involved in the indoor stadium in Parthi. And in my mind, those two Herculean tasks alone would probably be enough to just the amount of punyam generated from that, but he's still not stopped. He's continued the construction of numerous hospitals. Of course, we all know the Raipur Hospital, the new hospital that's coming up in Delhi, and 3 more, as Swami has said, under his leadership. The third speaker is Warden Sir, my favorite author. He's written many, many books, some of which most of you know. I always enjoy listening to him. As his name goes, Warden Sir, he's probably the best storyteller that I've ever heard. Some amazing stories, and I'm sure he's going to enthrall all of us with beautiful tales that he's shared to the students that he's looked after all those years as warden, and now as he continues to do with the numerous schools that Swami has asked him to lead the construction for. Without further ado, I'd like to call on the first speaker to address all of us. Sai Ram.
Swami just asked me a few minutes ago to tell you about something that I've been so blessed to experience in this life. Many years ago, Swami asked me to leave my family in England, my wife and children, and to go and live next door to a yogi, which I did. And I bought a house next to this yogi's house, who's just recently departed. And I had no idea why we were getting together, what was going to happen. I had met this yogi before. I'd had many unique experiences. And the first night, I'll never forget, simply confused as to what this was all about, sat across from each other, a few feet away, and suddenly we were put in a deep trance state. In that trance state, suddenly, I left my body, as well as the yogi, and we were in, I suppose, because I don't really know the names for these things, we were in our light bodies, standing next to our gross bodies, in this form of amazing truth. Swami then arrived and told us why we were there and what was going on, and said, now we're going to go traveling. We traveled 2,630 times over the next 10 years. We would get together 4 times a week, 5 times a week in the evenings, and the same trance would occur. We would leave our bodies and be in these beautiful light bodies. Swami would arrive, and he would take us by the hand, and he would take us into multi-dimensions. He would take us into parallel universes. He would take us into past lives, many, many past lives, and particularly lives that we had been very naughty and had to pay for, and we were back because of it. I remember this yogi had been one of the most, and we were taken back to a time, Atlantean times, was one of the most powerful beings probably that ever walked the earth. Had an amazing black crystal. It was a hermaphrodite, actually, and about 6'8", 7 feet tall, long robes, and had this amazing black crystal where he could put his hands on this crystal, and his prana energy, the power energy, the real energy, would be amplified millions of times. Then with his mind, he could create anything, beings, cities, machines. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable power. He also took me back to a particular lifetime. That was the main lifetime that this yogi was paying for, by the way. Took me back to a lifetime when I was a king of Egypt and had also tremendous power of a different nature, but always a psychic nature and power over people. And like the other yogi, I'm not a yogi, by the way, or a psychic or anything. I'm just a safe deposit box that Swami's put a lot of information in. He now wants me to open the box. But I was having a birthday party for myself, and I wanted 27,000 statues of myself being built all over this kingdom. And I had tens of thousands of Nubian slaves, of which I pushed thousands and thousands to their deaths in my desperation to satisfy my ego about my birthday party. I worked them literally to death. It's an amazing thing. I've been taken to other past lives. I won't bore you with all of them. Many of them sort of plain and exciting, but unfulfilling. Others where I was ruthless, powerful, dangerous, killed many, murdered many. Others where I walked with avatars, as Swami has kindly actually publicly said, and I'll never forget when we first visited Swami, he called me up to Anandam. I had been living in Puttaparthi at his request since 2007, in which he asked me to stay with him for the rest of my life. And I knew, even after he left the body, and by the way, it was such grace to be invited to watch an avatar exit his body. It was an incredible experience. It was beautiful. It was magnificent. But then I waited in my room for, I don't know, a year or so. I rarely left. I wasn't the most popular man in Puttaparthi ever. There's some that know. And then I was called to Anandam by Narasimha one afternoon, said, Swami's here. I wasn't surprised. He never arrived. How could he go anywhere? He was always here. And I went up to Anandam, and there Swami was with wonderful Madhusudan, who was in training at the time. I remember Swami was correcting him very much like Anil Kumar whenever he gave a discourse. He was learning his trade. And he told me, he said, Narasimha was a great rishi in a past life, and I brought him back to help me in this journey. And he turned to Narasimha and he said, Tigrit was a disciple of Jesus Christ, but not a very good one. And I went, oh, Swami, I promise you I'm going to do better this time. I promise you I'm going to really work hard to change that. The point being this, and I'm so blessed that I know, I don't suspect, through His grace, I know that I have had many, many, many past lives. You must also understand you have had many, many, many past lives. And the reason that you are here now is that you have not reached the pinnacle as yet, including myself. All the masters say the reason you're here is for self-realization, realizing your true identity. And your identity is that you are divine. Swami told you constantly, you're all divine beings, you're all immortal. No one ever believed it. It's difficult to conceive to a great degree, and understandably so at the end of this desperately crazy, Mike, karma-filled last yuga, the Kali Yuga. So I must tell you that having been on the other side so many, many times, that everyone is desperate to come back to this dimension. They're desperate to come back here because on the other side there is no karma being created and there's no karma being destroyed. It can only occur in this dimension, and if you want to get off the wheel of birth and death, you're desperate to get back down here and get rid of that karma if you can. That's why you came. That's why you're here. It's quite an amazing phenomenon, but you must understand that this is just an incredible opportunity, not just an opportunity to be reincarnated, which is extraordinary in itself, but an opportunity to be reincarnated with a cosmic master, to be in his grace, to listen to his words, most of which you don't really listen to. You like the show, you like the excitement, and everybody gets excited before he arrives, and then they forget so much when he leaves. But the point being is that you must take opportunity. This is an incredible opportunity being born. One of the reasons you have so many lives is there's like two concentric circles occurring simultaneously while you're here. Circles of energy. And these circles are being created by your thoughts, word, and deed. One is creating new karma, which you are doing while you're here on this planet, in this dimension. The other is going counterclockwise, and you're destroying the old karma. And there's such a close reverence between the two that it takes many, many, many lifetimes to actually get to where you want to be. But one of the boons that the Master gives all of the cosmic masters who've walked this planet, is they can speed up your karma. It is very, very painful. Believe me, and those of you who have accepted him and trust him have felt this. Amazing. He takes you right to the edge of what you can take because he loves you. Many people turn and run, but you'll just have to come back and have that karmic experience again. So every thought, word, and deed that you do while you're in this dimension is going to rest in your karmic book. And you must do the best you can now with this great opportunity to start going a little bit further in your understanding and go within, because within all the wisdom is here. There's nothing out here. This is actually a dream state. Because if you knew the power of what prana energy was, or the cosmos, which is what you're all connected to, you feel so insignificant. I can feel it in this room. It's part of the times. But you're not. You're all connected not only to each other, you're connected to every tree, every flower, every bird, every animal in this entire dimension, and to all the other dimensions and all the other beings and all the other things that exist throughout the entire cosmos. So anything that you do, because of this collective consciousness which you are all a part of, anything that you do affects the entire collective. That's how important you are. That's how incredibly powerful you are. And you must try to seek this knowledge from within and act through it, because this is a rare opportunity. A rare, rare opportunity. Swami gave me a boon the other day, a great boon. We were in Sri Lanka with some of the students. I'm so glad that they're here because some of them haven't heard this wild story before. But the other day we were in Sri Lanka with the students, and I usually hang back because when Swami's got his kids, they come first. And we were stopped at a beautiful Buddhist temple and some other sacred places. And then we stopped at an old temple, Hindu temple. And I was behind the crowd of 40 or 50, 60 people, and Swami was standing in the gateway to the inner sanctum. And if you've been to a Hindu temple, especially in India, you know that there's this bizarre sort of inner sanctum where the lingam is, and it's all dark and really crazy and wonderful and beautiful. And that people come and they give flowers to the priest. They're not allowed to go near the lingam. They have to stand back. And the priests go in and they do a puja for that person or those people or that family or a group of them, and then bring the flowers and so forth back. So suddenly students say, "Oh, Swami wants you, Swami wants you." So I went running up to this doorway, very dark inside, a couple of priests, beautifully dressed as they only do in India, in those dhotis, and wow. And this beautiful black lingam you could see in the distance in the inner sanctum. And Swami, they brought some beautiful plate of white rose petals. They were radiating. They were so beautiful. Swami, I assumed, blessed them, and they took them inside to do the puja. While I was standing there, Swami said, "This is the place, Tigert, where Rama came after he killed Ravana to beg for forgiveness. Because Ravana was not only a Brahmin, but he was also Shiva's greatest devotee at that time." And I said, "This is the temple? This is the lingam?" He said, no, this is the spot. The lingam, the temple, they're very old, but this is the spot. So he turned to me and he said, "The reason you're here is because I'm giving you the opportunity to ask all of those hundreds of thousands of people that you have killed in past lives for forgiveness, just as Rama did that day some 10,000 years ago. I leaned my head against a post that was right there at that inner sanctum, and suddenly I was taken back to multiple lifetimes where I'd done more damage than you could possibly imagine. And there were the 100,000 multitudes, I don't know how many. And I begged them to forgive me for what I'd done to them. Because I knew that this was a boon, this was an opportunity that comes once in a trillion lifetimes. It was very important for me if I'm going to progress a little bit further. And it was an extraordinary, amazing experience. I lifted my head off the column and returned back to this dimension. And they were bringing the flowers back that the puja had been done on the silver tray. And I realized that something was going to happen. He's going to give me something. He's given me so much. So I had my little handkerchief suddenly out in my hand, and he gave me a beautiful black lingam that he had placed in the tray of flowers before it had gone in there, and he gave it to me, and he said, "You know what to do with it." So what a boon, what an extraordinary thing to happen. I feel so blessed. You too should feel blessed to be here. You too have an opportunity to pay for past debts. This is it. It's not going to happen very often. Remember, they're all waiting on the other side to come back down here because you want to get off the wheel of birth and death. You've got to come here where you created the karma. You got to undo it. And you're born again with the same people you created the karma with. Your sister may have been your brother may have been your uncle, or your sister may have been an aunt, and whatever. Now you're always brought back because you have to kill that karma with the people that you created, because you're indelibly connected forever to that karma, that energy. So you must really, really have to think a little bit beyond yourself, because this is an opportunity. It doesn't come very often, a human birth. And again, they're all waiting. I mean, they want to be born even as a mosquito for a few hours. They're that desperate to get off the wheel of birth and death and enter nirvana, which is why we are born, why we exist, why we are here, is to get off the wheel. You must concentrate on this, you must think about it, and you must watch every thought, every word, and every deed. Sai Ram.
Most beloved and dearest Swami, dear sisters and brothers here in Singapore, and very dear students, very dear students in particular who've come for the first time with Swami. For the benefit of dear devotees here, the boys, I believe, went to see Singapore, which is a very done thing when somebody comes for the first time to a new city, an exquisite new city like Singapore for sure. I was wondering what could be the first impressions a young man or woman would have when you come to a beautiful city like this. It occurred to me that the first thing that must have struck them was the beauty of this city, which naturally is beauty by the people that live here. I mean, this is a first-timer's view, so you'll have to just take it that way. When I came here first in the early 1980s, again on Swami's work way back then, that was the first impression I had. What is beauty? You know, that is that great gift that Swami blesses every man and woman with, to find beauty in whatever we see. That they would have seen this in the picture perfectness that the city presents itself, where everything truly is picture perfect. It is a reflection, it is a sight of true beauty in all the visuals that you see. Beauty is also found when you hear songs sung in love, in praise, when they come forth from your heart as prayer. You also see and feel beauty. Beauty is also found in daily life when we go about doing whatever we wish to or whatever we have to. It could be eking out a livelihood. It could be just doing what we wish to do or what we have to do in life. We find beauty in that. It is both by choice, subconsciously or unconsciously, or sometimes by necessity. Man needs to find beauty, to find peace, and then to find love. Nimesh said that I worked in also building some hospitals, which is true. If there is one search that I would like to engage myself, apart from putting brick and mortar together in building hospitals, which certainly heal people, and that's a very vital human need, is my search for beauty in life. If I might digress and tell you, the first cell that begins the creation of a human being is called a zygote. It's the very primary first nascent cell that begins and makes man embark into his making. It's called a zygote. The human being, I believe, when he or she grows, is estimated to be a colony of anywhere between 150 to 175 trillion. The word is not M, not B, but T. Trillion cells. The first cell, the mother of mother cells, is called a zygote, and this cell multiplies itself to comprise a human body into at least a colony of 175 trillion cells. Now that is a fragment truly of, I can see Dr. Hiramalini shake her head because she would endorse some of this. What spirituality or Swami teaches us, that life begins as a microcosm and blooms forth and bursts forth into what is loosely called as the universe or the infinite or the eternal. When Isaac was speaking of dimensions which are so true but not many could be privileged to experience, I thought I should bring you to the magic of both scientific and spiritual and medical truths. If we sitting in this room can ponder as to how unique each one of us are, you could begin with appreciating the beauty that each one of us is a colony of this enormous, infinite number of cells. Now, why did I say this? I just not wanted to make a scientific statement here. The beauty of life is that every cell has that unique ability to constantly infuse, increase, enhance itself into giving health, goodness, and vitality to every human being. What we should find beauty in, especially students, is in this learning that this human body which we see for ourselves and which we do all that we can to make it look good, feel good, be healthy, is constantly at work in wanting to do good. There is a natural ability which is God-given, which is part of creation, that each cell constantly tries to contribute, to give goodness, to give love, so that it can enable that human body to live well, to live in health, to live in vitality. Modern medical science, some of the doctors will tell us in this room, even when you go into what is called organ transplants, you don't need to take, I believe in the future, a heart from another healthy being to transplant into the heart of a dying man or a woman. A tissue of a healthy portion of heart in a single person is possibly enough to give you health. Why did I say this to you? I wanted you to appreciate that Swami gives us that glimpse of beauty which we can see more with our eyes closed than many a time with our eyes open. When you close your eyes, these are glimpses that Swami gives us that we are, imagine a colony like that, which is truly a reflection of the macrocosm, all packed into the microcosm. This mission of Swami, this saga of Swami that he is engaging himself in, is a saga of upliftment, is a saga truly of lifting our consciousness from daily trifle, from daily life, to something sublime, something we can only be blessed to be seeing or visualize with his grace. In Swami, you see the emergence today of all pursuits of science and all spiritual endeavor. This has been my life's recent journeys, because just as much as he keeps us busy in the works that we do, I must confide in all of you, a lot of my time is being spent cerebrally in reflection and contemplation of the beauty that Swami is, and that he now and then gives us glimpses. That is what brings true meaning to my life. He is giving me glimpses when and like some of my colleagues did get a few days back, when you see, for instance, a 10-day-old baby having her heart opened up and somebody in the form of a doctor breathing life into it. I see that a new world is opening in front of us, wherein we are getting glimpses of the greater truths of life. And every truth seems to point to only one word which gives us beauty, and that word abides and abounds in Swami, which is love. I think if there is one emotion that constantly is aroused in the maximum in Swami's presence, is the deep emotion leading to the fundamental truth that we are all embodiments of love. Love began our journey on this planet. Love sustains and nourishes our journey while we go about the journey of our lives. And as Isaac said, love is what we immediately thereafter go into mergence. Love is that great miracle of life which we all seek. Love is what we live for. Love is what we hope and pray for. And nothing is more enjoyable than love. And when this love turns itself in through either song or word or act in praise or in expression of its God, that is the beauty that you can feel of life when you keep your eyes closed. This moment and these moments are really therefore sublime. These are not normal moments which you spend in the sacred presence of Sai Anandam. These are moments when you forget yourself to find yourselves as greater beings or beings on a journey that you wish to take. May you and your lives always and always, moment to moment, point to point, be always filled with love, because that is what you are, and that is what Swami is waiting and wanting us to realize. God bless. Silence.
Most beloved Bhagavan, very dear brothers and sisters, and Swami's very beloved children, students of Sri Satya Sai Center for Human Excellence. It is my good fortune or a sad predicament that I have to speak always after these two great speakers. Sometimes they steal my time, and many times they steal my heart, and today they have stolen both. Brother Tigrit spoke of the truth, Satyam, which we seek life after life, through many lives, and which we are seeking now. And Srinivas spoke of beauty and goodness, Shivam and Sundaram. Together they have spoken of Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram, that is Swami, without uttering the name of Swami. That is their magic. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram is the signature of God. A legend goes that Tulsidas, who lived a few centuries before, for the first time, he wrote the story of Lord Rama in a language of common people, ordinary people. He wrote it in Hindi. And many scholars in Ramayana, or very great scholars in Sanskrit, all of them felt that Tulsidas had belittled Ramayana. He had made it impure by speaking about it in the Hindi language, which is the language of the common people, whereas Sanskrit is known to be the language of gods, Devanagari, the language of the gods. He wrote in the language of men. And finally the complaint went to the king of Kashi, where all of them lived. And finally the king was now unable to decide, because by that time Tulsidas had already become very popular. He wrote Ramcharitmanas, which is a Parayana Grantha, a daily read book for hundreds and thousands of people in India even today, especially in North India, and even in other countries also. Ramacharitmanas he wrote. And the king was unable to satisfy any of them. He said, let me do something. When we are not able to find a solution, we will go to God naturally. That's what Swami keeps saying, Sankatamaste Venkataramana. Only when there is Sankatam, we go to Venkataramana. Only when we face more and more difficulties, we go to God. When things are going very comfortable and cozy, we forget God. We tend to forget God. And that's why Swami also tells us, when some devotees complain to Swami, Swami, why are you giving us difficulties? I send you difficulties so that you remember me. Otherwise you forget me. That's what Swami says. And the king said, let us go to the great Kashi Vishweshwara temple and place this book on palm leaf, Ramcharitmanas, at the feet of the Lord, in front of the lingam. And if Lord Vishweshwara grants a sign, then all of you should accept that Tulsidas has done a great thing. Suppose he does not grant any sign, he does not manifest any sign of grace, then naturally you can condemn Tulsidas. It seems all of them went, kept the book in front of Lord Vishweshwara, closed the doors, and all of them prayed, and Tulsidas also prayed. And finally, when the book was brought out, the signature of God was there, Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. But that was the first time these words came together, Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. As Brother Isaac said, we have come into this world any number of times. This is what exactly Lord Krishna told Arjuna long back. Yesterday, Brother Yo, not brother, uncle I should say, Uncle Yo was asking me about Krishna and Arjuna. He said, Bahuni me vetitani janmani tavacharjuna tanyaham veda sarvani nattam veta parantapa. You and I have gone through hundreds of lives. I remember all of them, you don't remember. That's what he told. Why this was necessitated was, after teaching the Karma Yoga, the great secret of how we can still be in the world and attain grace of God, attain liberation, attain emancipation, that is the Karma Yoga. How to transform karma into Karma Yoga, Swami has given us very beautiful tips. After teaching this secret of Karma Yoga to Arjuna on the battlefield, he said, first I taught this to Lord Sun, Surya Deva. First I taught this to Surya Deva. Surya Deva taught it to Manu. Manu taught it to Ikshvaku. And it came down, and now it is forgotten. That's what Krishna says. And Partha wondered, because he was a doubting Thomas, like me. He asked, but a doubting Thomas, very straightforward doubting Thomas, he asked the Lord, I feel like laughing at you, Lord, on the battlefield. You say that you taught this first to Suryadeva. And you are just 5 years elder to me. That's right. I am 85, you are 90. That's what Swami says. When the Mahabharata battle was fought, Arjuna was only 85 years young. And Krishna was 90 years young. What are you talking? How do I believe it? And that is when he says, many times you and I have come into this world, and many times we have died, many times we are born. I remember everything, you don't remember anything. It is true. Once it happened that on the day of Bhumi Puja for Premamrutam, which is one of the greatest contributions of all of you from Singapore, the brothers and sisters from Singapore, and it was a cricket ground at that time. Today, Premamrutam, you can play cricket inside also, as big as that it is. And Swami asked me to speak. And before that, he asked our friend Shiva Subramanya to introduce. Generally, he is not a man who would like to come onto the platform like us. And he went up and he said, Murthy Anna, Narasimha Murthy sir, is going to speak. He has served Swami for more than 40 decades. That's what he said. Instead of saying 4 decades, which you normally hear everywhere, he said 40 decades. And then, I spoke. After that, Swami, while speaking, said, Shiva Subramaniam said wrongly. Narasimhamurthy has not served me for 40 decades. Everybody thought, Swami would say 4 decades. But Swami said, he has served me for 400 decades. No, what I have done in my previous life is most unimportant. What I was in my previous life is insignificant, is of absolutely no use. What I am today, what you are today, is important for every one of us. Ultimately, between birth and death, what really matters? I would conclude with what Madhu told me one day. His grandmother passed away, and he had a vision of her after a few months or so. And his grandmother was standing in front of a counter. On the other side of the counter was another person who was looking into big registers. Like the ones, when a student goes for admission to a hostel, looking at his file, looking into her file. Finally, he looked up and asked the grandmother, what good you have done in your life? What good you have done in your life? She said, I went to Puttaparthi and had darshan of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. The other gentleman said, man at the counter said, that is not useful here. That is not useful here. Just because you went to Puttaparthi and had darshan of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba is not useful. What good have you done to others? You went to Puttaparthi, had darshan of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. It is for yourself. It is for yourself, for your redemption you went. But what good have you done to others? Then she remembered, I brought up my grandchildren with great devotion and sincerity. That is your duty, that is your job. As a grandmother, you have to do it. What good have you done to others? She thought for a very long while. This is the only question which will be asked of me and you when we leave this world. Many times this question has been asked to us. Most of the times we have failed. Because we lead selfish lives, egocentric lives. And even when we try to help others or help others, we do it with some expectation. We help those who help us. But the real question is, have you helped anybody selflessly in your life without expecting anything in return? As Shakespeare said, fame is the lost frailty of the noble, he said. When we do something, we want the whole world to know about it. Swami tells us many funny stories. What we do out of true selfless love alone matters. That is the only balance which will stand us in good stead in our life, and nothing else. Have I helped anybody without expecting anything in return? Just because I saw Swami in that person, not with any other motivation. That is what Mother Teresa said when she won the Raman Magsaysay Award. Journalists asked her, what is the most beautiful moment in your life? She did not say, when I founded this Missionaries of Charity, which today shelters 50,000 orphans all over the world. Children who are thrown onto the roads and gutters. She didn't say that. What did she say? She said, one day I was walking with my sisters, that is Missionaries of Charity, in a forlorn street of Calcutta. In a corner, there was something which was stinking. We went near and found a man who was dying. And the stink was so much that my sisters, they retreated. I went to him, lifted him up, brought him to the home. She had founded a home where she sheltered such people. Washed him clean, put him on a clean bed, on a white bed sheet. He died. But before he died, he smiled at me. That is the most beautiful moment in my life. I saw Jesus smiling at me. Can anybody, a person dying, can smile? Because it was Jesus, he smiled at me. That is the most beautiful moment in our lives. After all these talks, what Swami has been reminding us often is, help when you can. Help selflessly when you can. So every day that passes by our not doing anything selflessly is a waste of life. So that's what counts. What counts is not our bank balance. What counts is not the many mansions that we might build. What counts is not the positions of authority on which we sit. What counts is not our name and fame. What counts is the one and the only question. What good have I done to others today? What good you have done to others today? It's so simple. We need not have to learn anything. We need not have to learn by rote Bhagavad Gita or Bible or Quran or Dharmapada. We need not have to study any scripture. This is the only essence of all the scriptures which Swami always simplifies and tells us. Love all, serve all. That is the ultimate thing. With these words, I conclude and pray to Bhagavan to grant his divine, redeeming message. Thank you.
Happy Sai Ram. As we pray to Bhagavan to grant his divine message on this very auspicious evening, perceive him seated here in the throne in an ochre robe. I repeat as he speaks. Sarvarupadharam Shantam Sarvanamadharam Shivam Satchidanandam Advaitam Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Sarvarupadharam Shantam. All the forms are his. He is the very embodiment of Shantam or peace. Sarvanamadharam Shivam. All the names belong to him and he is auspiciousness personified. Satchidanandam Advaitam. He is the embodiment of Sat, truth, Chit, awareness, Anandam, bliss, Advaitam, one without the second, Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Truth, goodness and beauty is him. Dear embodiments of truth, goodness and beauty. Right from the time we are born into this world, till the time the life forces leave this body, our breath goes on repeating a truth 21,600 times a day. What is this truth? It says, so hum, so hum, so hum. When you breathe in, so. When you breathe out, hum, so hum, which means, I am that, I am that, I am that. Adi Shankara in his Atma Shatakam says, Mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham. I am not the mind, I am not the buddhi, intellect, ahankara, the identification with this ego, chitta, consciousness, none of these. I am the Satchidananda Swarupam. I am the very embodiment of Shiva, the blissful one. I am not Nacha Shrotra Jive, Nacha Grahana Netre. I am not even the senses that adorn this body. The tongue, the ears, the nose, the eyes, none of these. Neither the sense of smell nor these eyes. Chidananda Rupam Shivoham Shivoham. I am the very embodiment of the eternal awareness and bliss, which is the very nature of Shiva. I am that. So this breath goes on telling us, I am that, I am that, I am that. And this is what Swami tells us from the very beginning, that you are also God, just as I am. The difference is that I know I am God and you do not know. The day you know that you are also God, that is the day this cycle of birth and death, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, again and again we are born, again and again we die, again and again we reach the womb of the mother. And this cycle of birth and death is broken. It's finished once for all. And then one is liberated eternally and becomes one with the true self, just as the rivers merge with the ocean and become the very ocean. As I was coming from the other mandir to this, a girl was celebrating her birthday. And I asked her, what is a birthday? Birthday is a day when one must remind oneself to thank those who have given this body, those who have taught this body to lead a purposeful life and helped this body to lead a purposeful life. We have to thank all of them and convey our gratitude on our birthday. Because, as it is said, Jantunam Narajanma Durlabham, it is not easy, it is very rare to find a human birth. Out of all the 84 lakh species, human birth is the rarest of its kind. And once you have obtained this human birth, it is this very duty of every single human being to work towards realizing this truth, Satchidanandam, that is the truth of one's true nature, of awareness, of truth, and of bliss. Like the rich man who has forgotten where he has buried the treasure in the backyard and considers himself poor, likewise we all, the very embodiments of divinity, consider ourselves human merely because we have forgotten this great truth that our breath tells us from the day of our birth. Sometimes it feels that Swami keeps repeating the same thing, but then truth cannot be told in too many ways. Truth is truth, and this is the truth. You believe everything. If somebody tells you you are very handsome, we immediately believe. If somebody else next door comes and says you are quite ugly, we believe that also and become happy or sad accordingly. You go to school, someone says you are very intelligent, you gloat with great pride. And somebody calls and says you are a donkey, we believe that too. Everything that is said to us from the others, by the others, we believe. Then why not believe that Swami tells us all the time? In fact, this belief alone can take us across this ocean of samsara. We don't have to do anything. If we simply believe that we are the embodiments of truth, goodness, auspiciousness, and beauty, we are the very embodiments of that Shivam, we will immediately cross over this ocean of samsara. We don't need any other thing. See, the one who puts this faith in the words of the Guru, for him there is no birth, no death. He is redeemed then and there without a moment's delay. Adi Shankara, who was the great proponent of Advaita, that is the philosophy of non-dualism, the oneness, he had 4 disciples: Sureshwara, Totaka, Hastamalaka, and Padmapada. These disciples were always at his service. Wherever he traveled, wherever he walked, they were always attending to his needs. But of all these 4, Padmapada was very, very dear to Adi Shankara. And he would look after his personal needs. One day, as he carried his clothes to be washed at the river, and he was sitting on a stone and washing these clothes, suddenly the river started rising. The level of water went up, and his path back to the shore was now covered with water. The only stone on which he was standing, or he was washing the clothes, was the only stone which was above the water. The rest of the stones were submerged. It was already, the day was coming to a close, it was sunset time, and he started worrying that he has to take back these clothes to his Guru in time. But now that this river is in spade, how am I going to cross this? Then he thought, if I want to serve my Guru, who says that for the sake of Guru's service one can undergo any hardship, then I must believe in him. I must reach these clothes back to my Guru in time. And therefore, he put these clothes on his head and just took a step forward into the water which was flowing in great force, and a lotus bloomed under his feet. And as he put the next step, another lotus bloomed, and as he walked, many lotuses bloomed and made a path for him to cross over this water and go to the other side, to the shore, and reach these clothes of his Guru in time. Look at his faith in Guru. Just because he believed that his Guru says anything is possible if you want to serve the Guru, he could cross over this river in full speed despite all these difficulties. That is the power. The same Adi Shankara said, you might have a very beautiful body, you might have tremendous money, you might have your name and fame spread all across the world, your wife might be the most beautiful one, and your wealth will be like the Meru mountain, Manaschanena Lagnam, Gurangri Padme. But if your mind is not attached to the feet of the Guru, tatah kim, tatah kim, tatah kim, tatah, then what is the use, what is the use, what is the use, and what is the use of all this? You might have sons and grandsons, and you might have your wealth spread everywhere. You might have great big house, mansion. You might have many, many friends and relations. But after all these things, if your mind is not attached to the feet of the Guru, what is the use? What is the use? Tatah kim, tatah kim. Then what is the use of having all these things? As Guru, as God, Swami has been continuously telling us the same truth again and again and again. Just as you are born again, punar janam, punar maranam, like that Swami puna keeps telling the same thing again and again. All you need is simply believe in what Swami is saying. My Guru says, I am divine, that's the end of all. He says I am divine, so I am divine. I cannot be anything other than divine because my Guru cannot be. Telling a lie. With this one faith, if one goes, all the things in life will start changing. It all starts with the thought. If you think you're divine, you're automatically, your words will change to divine words. You will never speak a word, apashabda, wrong word. You'll never speak in a way which is not divine. If you think you're divine, you will never engage in a papa or sin because you will say that is not something that is divine. You will always be engaged in punya or the good things. That is the way a thought can lead you all the way to your destiny. You have to think that I am divine, I am divine, I am divine. Your breath is telling me soham, soham, soham. Even if you listen to this great truth, great mantra that your breath tells you, it's possible to redeem oneself of the cycle of birth and death. Having got this great opportunity of being a human being, then having also got this great fortune to come in the company of good and noble men, as you are all seated here today, then we should not waste this opportunity. We should not squander away. That is what I told Tiger to speak, that births after births we come together, births after births we separate, again we come back. But what is the use? It is like the pendulum of the clock, keeps swinging to the extremes but reaches nowhere. It keeps swinging forever till the time ends. Likewise, we should not be just swinging between the two ends of birth and death and while away all our opportunity while we have this great human birth. We must put every single effort to realize the divinity that we are and thereby cross over this ocean of samsara and be free, be above all these daily and worldly things. That is how one must consider the body is like a boat on these waters of the ocean of samsara, and then one with using this boat only one can cross to the other side. Having got this human birth, make best use of it without wasting a single moment. This morning I was speaking to the group of devotees and I told, if only you knew the efforts that you have put, the pains that you have undergone, the sacrifices that you have made in order to be here in the presence of God, in the company of good people, learning good things, you will not waste a single opportunity. I told them a short story. When a father asks his lazy son to get $1 or rupee, that by end of the day, if he doesn't get that, he's not going to get meals for the day. The son thinks it's quite easy. He goes to his mother and asks, Amma, give me some money. You know what children do at home. If father wants something, they'll go to the mother and ask. If mother says something, they'll go to the father. But it's mothers who melt away very quickly and give away things without thinking. So this boy went to mother and asked, give me some $1, let's say, because father won't let me have my meals if I don't give him $1. Mother happily gave him $1 and he came back, gave it to father. Father said, very well, now go, have your meals. And he finished his meals and slept again. Next day again father called and asked him to get $1 for that day too. Otherwise he is not going to get his meals. The boy thought it's quite easy, let me go and ask my mother. But the mother was not to be seen. She was sent away by father to her native town. And then who is the next? So he started looking for his sister, because sisters are also very kind and generous. So he went to the sister and said, I want $1. Otherwise my father won't allow me to have my meals today. Sister felt very pained and she said, don't worry brother, here it is. And she gave her money too. He came back to the father and gave the money. Father said, very well, now today's meal also you can have. So he happily had that day's meal and slept like Kumbhakarna. Next day again the father asked, okay, today also you need to get and give me on $1. He said, he started looking for his sister now. But sister was also nowhere to be seen because father had sent away sister too. And now desperate, he went outside the home looking for this $1. And he sat under a tree waiting for this dollar to appear. But it didn't. It was already end of the day. He was hungry, tired. He wanted to go home but knew that father wouldn't allow him. So as he was visiting there, a man was passing by with a bundle of firewood on his shoulder and a lot of other things from the market, which he was finding difficult to carry. So he looked at this boy and said, hey, young man, you are fit in body and probably you can carry this weight for me. If you do so, I'll give you $1. The boy thought, okay, that is the only option left because it's already dark. So he said, well, I'll carry your burden and you give me $1. So he carried all the weight of that firewood and dropped it off at this person's home and received $1 in return. And when he went home, he gave the dollar to the father. Father was very happy. He said, the previous day I had asked you to get $1. You got it from mother. And father told to throw it into the well. He went and threw it that day. The second day also he told, get $1. He got it from the sister and father told, throw it into the well. He threw that also into the well. The third day when he got $1 on his own, father said, today also you go and throw it into the well and have your meals. He said, father, do you know what is the value of this $1? How much work I have done to gain this $1? I have carried shoulders. My shoulders are paining. And you are telling me to throw this money into the water? I'm not going to do. Father said, first day you threw the money. Second day you threw the money at my command. Third day you are not throwing because you have earned it. You know the pain, the sacrifice that you have undergone in order to earn this $1. Likewise, if only we remember, if only we know what we have done to earn this opportunity to be with God, we will not waste a single moment. Buddha sat under the tree and meditated. And in his meditation, he went through all his previous births, which are now recorded as Jataka stories. He went through all those births and he realized, oh, I was also an elephant, I was also an ant, I was also a king, I was also a pauper, I was also a high caste person as well as the one in the low caste. All the things I have undergone. Several times I have undergone this cycle of birth and death. Yet I have not reached anywhere. I am still craving to go through the same once again. Let me not go through that. And that is when he realized he craved only for the self-realization and not for the worldly things. And he redeemed himself. That's when he became Buddha. Buddha means the one who knows. And then once he knew that truth, he was no more bound. Baddha means bound. He became Buddha from Baddha, that is from bound. He became enlightened and never had to go through this cycle again. As disciples of Guru, one must offer Guru Dakshina. And what is the Guru Dakshina that Swami asks for? He is not asking you for thumbs and the way Dronacharya asked. He is not asking any great sacrifices. All he is telling is, follow what I am saying. If I say you are divine, believe in it completely, have firm faith. With that faith alone you can redeem yourself, because once you have that faith, everything else will happen according to that faith. If you believe you are divine, your thought, word, actions, they all will become divine in due course of time. So believe in that word of Swami, that you are divine, you are Satchidananda Swarupa, you are the very embodiment of that Shiva, that auspiciousness, that principle of divinity, and there is nothing more to know or learn. Simply believe that and you will attain that. Lot of youths have come here for the youth meet. We will discuss many more things like this, because at a young age you can start early, you can drive slowly, you can reach safely. As you grow older, your time becomes less, you'll have to drive faster, and reaching becomes very, very difficult and dangerous. So you start at this early age, believe this. All you have to do is this namakamu, this faith or the trust in Swami's word that you are divine, and everything else will be taken care of. You can ask questions. Oh, ask loudly. Don't worry about the mic. Think you are talking to your husband.
Saram Swami, the mention about the Ramayana where Rama was doing penance when he killed Ravana, of course. I've always thought that penance is for someone who has committed a crime. Then you, but Rama I thought was, of course it's a common belief that he's avatar of Narayana. So why does he need to do the penance in this situation?
Swami says, Yajyada charati shrestha tatat devet tarojanaha. That Bhagavad Gita says the way noble men conduct themselves, the world follows their example. Rama was Maryada Purushottama. That is the one who was having the highest Maryada. There is no word for Maryada. Probably an idealness, the ideal nature of Rama. So he had to set this ideal in front of the world. That whomever you harm, whether it is even a demon who had, or somebody who had hurt you or who had harmed you, if for the sake of protecting dharma, even if you have harmed them, still it is a harm. And therefore, one must atone for that. And more than anything else, Rama, as I said, was here to set an example for everyone to follow. That hurting anyone is definitely sin. Paropakaraya punyaya, papaya parapidanam. To help others is paropakara, or paropakara is punya, that is good, auspicious, meritorious deed. And to hurt anyone is papa, or sin. So just to set an example for everyone to follow, he did that. Even God, when he comes to this earth, takes upon himself a human body and a human life, he follows all the rules that govern this physical world. And these are the rules. The rule of the physical world or any world is help others, do not hurt anyone. Because for the sake of protecting dharma, even though he had hurt, he always prayed for it, he to atone for that, so that others who see this will follow it as an example.
Okay, my next question is regarding the thinking positively. Law of attraction says that, or rather, belief when we keep thinking positively, positive things will happen to us. But sometimes, even though we think positively, or rather, carry out activities which are positive and be positive to all the people around us, unfortunate incidents do happen to us, and it kind of make you go a few steps backwards and say why it happens to me. Is there any way we can avoid it? Of course, it could be something that can be avoided, or if not, how to go through this situation where you are very positive all along, and I believe that positive things should happen to you, or me in this case, but of course, it doesn't happen that way. How to handle such a situation?
So everything is positive. Everything is positive. It all depends on the way you look at it. When Buddha went with his disciples and told them, go and preach spirituality in this particular village, which was known for notorious people who would not listen to one word of good thing. The disciples got scared and said, Swami, or Master, if we go here, they are not going to listen to us. In fact, they will scold us. Buddha said, all right, think that they have scolded you, they have not beaten you. They said, what if they beat us? He says, then think that they have only beaten you, they have not killed you. What if they kill us? Good, this is the whole problem, that we are alive and think we are a body. Death doesn't touch this soul. Therefore, they will redeem you of this unnecessary burden of the body. Still you think positive only. It only depends on how you look at it. If some difficult situation comes, think it could have been worse than this, and then you will feel better. One man went to a guru and said, oh, I have so many difficulties, I have so many negative problems in home. What do I do? Guru said, do you have cows, cattle? He said, of course I have. He said, do one thing, bring all the cattle inside the home, and then you will feel better. He thought this is a very strange solution, but because Guru told, he followed. He brought all the cows inside his home and became more miserable, because now we had to live with the cows who were all the time creating trouble. After some days, he ran back to the Guru and said, what kind of a solution you give? As if my wife and children were not giving me enough trouble. You have got all the cows inside and it's become worse now. The Guru said, oh, is it so? Okay, take all the cows out of the house and tie them back in the cattle shed. And he went and tied that back and he said, oh, it's so peaceful now. Everything is yad drishti, tad srishti, the way you look at it. Think what is that which is still positive in it. How I can look at it. It could have been bad, it could have been worse, positive. But once you know that some situation can lead to some issues, you meet a person, you know that we are going to get into an argument or we are going to get into some negative thinking or some negative action. You first is ABC of life, avoid bad company. You're going through a street, you see a set of dogs waiting there for you. Would you still continue to walk into the street knowing very well the dogs are going to bite you? You see them from far and take the alternate route and then you avoid them so that you are not bitten or chased by the dogs. Likewise, when your mind is alert, it will be able to understand, discriminate and choose an alternative. But even then, suppose after doing your best, you still end up in a situation, see still what God is wanting you to learn from that situation, what is still positive in that. And if you keep digging like this, thinking like this, discriminating like this, you will definitely see that every situation is for our good. It is to make us better than before. Oh, you are going to ask all the questions today?
No, just one more. It's okay. I will pass it on to someone.
No, you
else.
ask. Otherwise, stomach problem will come.
No, it's okay. I will keep it for the next time.
Ask.
Okay. No, it's just that I've read about, of course, learning Sanskrit, and I'm always wondered because the relevance of understanding or even learning Sanskrit as a language, because a lot of mantras, although we don't use it in our daily living, a lot of mantras, even including Rudram chanting and all that, is very much in Sanskrit, and a lot of times we read, but not. Although we have the translation, it's not a perfect translation, I would say, because that's the impression I have. So, is it important in this modern society to learn Sanskrit and understand it?
So it says just now, he said Sanskrit is the language of gods. The first thoughts that came to the rishis and they changed the form from thoughts to the words or the literature or script was in Sanskrit. So it's nice to learn Sanskrit because then you can understand things clearly, and when from the first hand reading or experience of the language. So it's a very beautiful, very logical language. There's no harm in learning another language. It will remove the issue from your mind of confusion and misunderstanding. So it is good. You must teach yourself another language, and nothing more beautiful than a Sanskrit language. It's so precise, it is so logical, it is so beautiful, rhythmic, almost music. That is how Sanskrit is. So you can learn Sanskrit, it is not a problem. Do learn a new language. And if you still can't learn, then you refer to 2 or 3 translations, and what touches your heart, what your heart says, which appeals to you, you follow that. That is very important. But if you don't know a language, you don't try and go and preach others. That is very dangerous. If you don't know a thing, it can twist and change the meaning of whatever you are saying. So knowing language is very important. Without knowing, you chant like a parrot, it may just change the meaning. And there's this great song is there. You know that song? From Tyagaraja's song is there. So Tyagaraja sings to Rama, Ni pagadakunte, ni kemi koduva. If I don't praise you, what are you going to lose, Rama? There's nothing that you lose if I don't praise you. So he said, Ni pagadakunte, ni kemi koduva. What is this that you lose if I don't praise you? And then the other person sang it, Ne pakoda tinte, ni kemi koduva. If I eat pagodas, what is your problem? Pagoda is Telugu, which means to praise. Pakoda is also Telugu, which means the fried snack. So see, the whole meaning changes if you don't know the language. So it is better you learn and chant, understand and chant. That is very good. If you can't teach yourself a whole language, then at least learn from the scholars who know it well, or use 2 or 3 translations where there is possibility of having, compare them and learn from that. But ultimately the meaning should touch your heart. Obviously, why would Tyagaraja sing to Rama that if I eat pakoras, what is that you lose? So then your mind should say there's something wrong with this meaning. Tyagaraja wouldn't be thinking like this. That is how you must go and analyze. But it's important, if you can teach yourself another language, that to a language like Sanskrit, mother of all languages, there's nothing like that.
Okay, thank you, Swami.
This young girl here. She didn't, this lady.
Sai Anandam Swami. On the topic of helping others, I live in Canada, and the activities of seva that I've been involved in have been mostly related to, tied to the Sai Center. But because it's a wealthy country, there's a lot of other help that's being provided by other organizations. So my question is, what more can we do as individuals to help others on a daily basis?
Yes, it is a wealthy country. People have most of the things that they require. Nobody is really starving or dying of things which are not available. But one thing that is really, really causing trouble to people in this country is sense of loneliness, sense of not belonging to anything or anyone. A lot of such people are there, especially the elderly. It says if you can find time, go and serve, talk to the elderly, talk to the sick, talk to those who do not have relations around. As youth, if you do that, it's a great lesson for you also. Why? Because you also will know that one day I am also going to be in that situation. So there's no point in me taking too much pride about my health or my youth or my beauty or my intelligence, because one day mind will fade. I will forget my own name. My body will shiver. I won't be able to do my own things. That has to come. And therefore, I must never become arrogant. I will always remain humble. This is a great seva the youth should do. Already some are doing. You all join and do. Wherever, in whichever part of the world. I told this to the youth in UK, that you go spend time with people who are getting older. They live in old age homes and they are all by themselves. Some of them have dementia. They can't understand. They can't think. These young people, when they go, they are so happy. Both the old people and well as the young people. And there is a great bond of love which has formed between them. And that has transformed the youth. That has transformed the way they look at life. That has made them more compassionate, more understanding, more patient. See, all these are required for a young person to grow well in life. And all that they can learn. So what service you do is not so much as what service does to you. That is what is the reason why you should spend time with those who are lonely, elderly. That will give you a lot of insights about life as such.
Thank you, sir.
Until. Just speak loudly. Sir.
Why is it there's so much negativity in Prashanti nowadays?
Is it not a serious question? Why are you laughing? Swami says in Prashanti, there cannot be negativity. There is not possible. Where there is sun, there can't be darkness over there. But as I said, as is your thinking, so it becomes yad bhavam tad bhavati. What you think, that is what it becomes. If you approach that sacred land with all positivity, there is no negativity. Everything is positive. If you approach with negativity, everything is negative. So it just depends on you. The world becomes what you make of it. Likewise. Therefore, there is no negativity anywhere. In fact, the whole world, you look at it from my eyes, everything is Brahman. Everything is Brahma, that is divine. You look at it from the eyes of an ignorant person, everything is Brahma or illusion. So therefore, it is all up to oneself. What is just now Srinivas told about a microcosm and a macrocosm. Microcosm defines your macrocosm. What is happening within you, you start seeing in things around you. What if inside becomes positive, everything is positive. If it inside becomes negative, everything is negative. So it is totally on ourselves, how we look at things. Order. That's
Good afternoon, Swami. I just want to ask a question about chanting, Namasparanam and meditation. Just now the speakers were saying that doing good alone is important. How important is doing Namasparanam and meditation in getting rid of negative karma? As spoken by most of them, we are bound by karma. Can doing a lot of prayers and chanting the name of the Lord and doing meditation help a lot in getting rid of past karma?
Swami says, see, chanting the name is the most easy and the straightforward way to ensure that you don't create any more negative karma. His first step is to not allow yourself to engage in things that will create some more of this negative karma and pile up the already existing debt of karmas that one has to pay for. So chanting the name will ensure that mind is pure, tongue is pure, your deeds are pure, and that way you don't create any more of negative karma. But how are you going to take care of all that has happened in the past? You can ensure that it doesn't happen any further by engaging in all kinds of sadhana, meditation and things like that. But what has already happened in the past, one has to go through it. By chanting the Lord's name, you can't get rid of all that you have done. You'll have to still go through it. Probably by Lord's grace, it will become bearable for you. Even if you have to go through what you have to go through, it will become something that is bearable for you. Lord's name will become like the slipper or the shoes that will help you walk the same difficult road, but with more ease. So to that extent, yes, Lord's name and everything helps. But why engage in seva? There's a story of this Hanuman and Vibhishana that most of you might know. When Vibhishana said, I wanted to have darshan of Rama, I've been chanting his name for so long, but I haven't had his darshan. Why is it so? Then Hanuman said, you're only chanting the name of the Lord, but you're not engaging yourself in the service of the Lord. See, both are required like the two wings of the bird. One side you do chanting, other side you do service. Man mein ram, haath mein kam. Both, if it comes together, that's when you become close to the Lord. Close to Lord means close to your divine nature. And therefore, it is very easy. It's not possible that somebody who has realized divinity is not engaged in service. It has never happened. It can never happen. The moment you realize the oneness, the divinity within and without, immediately you will plunge into service. As a nature, as a second nature, you will start doing it. Nobody needs to tell you also. Or the other way, start doing it so that it becomes your nature. So both ways you can work. Namasmarana on one side and service on the other side. Both are required. Many think what these rishis are doing, they're sitting in caves in Himalayas, remote places, and they're all the time thinking and chanting. And what is that service that they're doing to the people? Don't underestimate them. You only see world from one dimension, one angle, one way that you look at. What they are doing in their levels is totally different. We may not understand that, but they are guiding so many people. They're helping so many people because they have reached that state from where they don't need a physical body to go and guide people. They still do a lot of seva. It's not possible, as I said, that somebody has realized the Atman and is not doing service. It is not possible. It is the second nature of that person who has realized to be engaged in all the time in service. The other way to approach is engage all the time in service and you will realize the Atman. Either you reach out this way or you reach out that way. Take any, you will reach the same place. So therefore I insist that just Namasmarana is not enough. If you really feel the divinity within and without, then your body, your mind, your senses, your abilities, all these should be used in order to serve others and serve the divine which is in everyone.
Yes, Sai Ram. I understand that the purpose of our life is to break the karmic cycle, and we're doing all these good deeds to become enlightened. But once we are enlightened, what is our purpose then?
Once
what is the point of becoming enlightened?
Oh, just now I said, once you are enlightened, you will help others get enlightened. Means you will still be engaged in good actions. By being an enlightened one, you will help others. When you graduate from a school, you can become a teacher and you can teach others, help others graduate. That becomes the purpose of your life. As long as God wants you to serve, He will still give you an opportunity to help others redeem themselves. Good.
Sairam Swami, on the topic of helping others and karma, Swami has always said to always selflessly help others, but at the same time not interfere in the karma of others. So how do we know when do we stop, just so that not to interfere in the karma of the other person?
Swami says, let us say a child is sick. It is undergoing a health problem, a heart problem. Now Srinivas builds a hospital, invites the child for the operation. One person may say, oh, that is the child's karma. Let the child suffer its karma. After all, it is its karma. And therefore, there is no role for me to play in this. If I operate upon the child, I am interfering with the child's karma. That's what somebody may look at. But how I look at the whole thing is like this. That is that child's karma, of course. There is no doubt about it. The child must undergo some suffering. But what are you doing as a fellow human being? If there is within your reach and abilities to help that child get a little relief from that karma that one is undergoing, what is wrong in that? That will help you do some good work, selfless work, and help you realize your divinity. But how you should do it? You should do it without any expectation of any results. If you do it with attachment, oh, this is the child, I must help, I must do this, it is my responsibilities, all right. But then I expect results. What? The child must also respond to the service that we have done. It also should feel grateful, it should also show gratitude to me. And when this kind of attachment and doership comes in, then you are really interfering with the other person's karma. As long as you do it selflessly, within your reach and capabilities, to help the other person, relieve that person from some suffering, help in some way, you are truly not interfering with the karma. The child will still undergo the karma of having a bad heart. But what you have done, you have, as another human being, as another good person, you have been able to help the person. So if all your seva is bereft of attachment or sense of doership, it will not interfere with anything. Because that is the divine nature. If you pray to me and I help you go through a situation, am I interfering with your karma? I am only helping you. I am only relieving you. That is your nature. In fact, any time you come across a person in distress and suffering, think of it as an opportunity sent by God for you to rise to the occasion and behave like God by being of help to the other person. It's an opportunity created. When a beggar comes to your door and shouts, Bhiksham Dehi, give me alms, give me help, truly what he is telling you is he's telling you the truth that in his previous births, he did not help anyone, so today he has come to this situation. So you do not do such a thing and do not get into this situation again. That is a call that he gives. That is a deeper meaning, that if you don't help others who are in need, then tomorrow you will be in a situation seeking people's help and need. You help just as Swami does. That time you are not interfering. You do selflessly without any results, expectation of anything. Then you are not interfering with anybody's karma.
Thank you, Swami.
Is the lady behind?
Sairam Swami. My question is that they're talking about these many lives, the circle of karma, enlightenment, all these things. I want to know how and why this whole design is into place.
Oh, this is a very fundamental question. So it says all this has been placed because God was lonely all by himself. And he wanted somebody to love him and somebody to love. Just like a mother. Mother wants to give birth to a child. One may say, why undergo this suffering of carrying that baby 9 months, go through all kinds of health and mental issues? Why deliver with so much of pain? What is the need for it? What will the mother answer? because she wants to see herself in that child and want to love the child, and the child needs to love mother. That was the whole purpose, that man was created so that he can love God and God can love man. But unfortunately, when the child forgets this basic truth and gets into all kinds of things and hurts the mother, that is when the trouble begins. The purpose of our lives, why this whole creation happened, is because God wanted to love himself in these many forms and wanted all these forms to love him. And when we go back to this very basic fundamental principle of love, pure love, when you see God in yourself, in everyone else, then you start enjoying this whole game of life. But when you deviate from the rules, then the game becomes stressful, becomes that which creates anxiety and difficulties. That is what I am teaching. Go back to that very fundamental principle of this creation, which is love. To be able to love others as divine, as gods, even love yourself and love others. That's the whole purpose. This is a very beautiful experience. One may think, oh, is it that simple? Why all these complications then? But truth is that all these complications are our creation. If you simply go by the rule, there is no complication. You follow a traffic rule, no complication, no accidents on the road. The moment one person starts deviating from the rules, from the very rule of the traffic, then there is confusion, commotion, even accidents. And that's why Swami is putting us back onto this path of love, so that we enjoy being here. We enjoy loving others. We enjoy being loved by others. And in all of them, we are able to love God. That is the purpose. One more question I'll take. Yes, under the stairs. How do you turn your car right or left? That is how you have to turn your mind. Willingly you have to turn. When you know which way you have to go, when you know that you have to reach a certain place, that will happen only if you turn the car right, because the direction is right. You know that it will go to the right place. If you know that the place you want to reach is on the right side, then why would you turn the car towards the left? When you know you want to reach God, that is your purpose, that is your destination, why would you turn the mind outwards? Because that's not where you're going to find the truth. So you have to turn it inwards, that's where you'll find it. That is why it's very Viveka, Vairagya. These are the two very basics of turning the mind inwards. Viveka is discrimination. Every time discriminate. Will this take me to God or will this take me away from God? And if it's taking me away from God, why should I turn that way? I must turn the other way. That is Vairagya. Vairagya is detachment. Detaching yourself from that which takes you away from God and attaching yourself to things, attaching your mind to things that will take you closer to God. That is the very purpose. And if you are clear about the purpose of where you want to reach, you will know where to turn the mind. And you have to do it yourself, by your own swaprayatna, that is by your self-effort, you must do it. Is that all? Ask.
Saram Swami. So you've always said, watch your thoughts, actions and words. So thoughts being positive, actions through serving others. My question on the words, Swami, how to speak less and what's absolutely required, Swami? Because sometimes we tend to overspeak, especially in the workplace. We think what is right, but that's not received well from others, and that gets into unnecessary conversation. So how to avoid that and speak less and what's really required?
Yes, Swami says, see, God has given you 2 ears but only one tongue. The very purpose is that you speak less. But how do we speak? Whenever we open a mouth, it says, our scriptures say about speech, they say, Satyam Vada, you must speak the truth. Priyam Vada means you must speak in a sweet way. Nabruyat apriyam. No, don't speak in a way that is not sweet to listen. So you have to speak truth, Satyam Bruyat. You have to speak in a sweet way, Priyam Bruyat. And you do not speak truth in an unpleasant way. Unpleasant way, that is very, very important. Now, all these requires a little practice and thinking. See, there are two ways of saying the same thing. One is you say it in an unpleasant way, others say it in a pleasant way. Even if the truth is bitter, you say it in a pleasant way, it will be accepted by people around you. So discriminate between the two. There's an old story that a king once gets a son and he calls for the astrologers to predict the future of the son. And the first astrologer who walks in, he says, "Oh, your son has got very, very short life." The king gets very angry. He says, "On this auspicious day, you're telling me such terrible things? Get him, put him inside the jail." Then he calls the next astrologer. He says, "Your son is not going to live for too long." Again, king gets very upset and he tells, "Behead this astrologer." He asks the third astrologer who had seen what happened to the previous two. So he thinks, "I have to tell the truth because I can't tell lie. That's my profession. I must tell what is what. But I must tell in a way that king doesn't get upset." So he says, "Your son has brought great fortune to you, O king. You are going to give, he has brought you great long years of life. You will live longer than even your son." He becomes very happy and rewards him. So you see the same truth, but say it in a way that is pleasant to others. I'm not saying you should say untruth for the sake of pleasing others. That is a sin. You must say truth, but say it in a way that is pleasant to others. That's where your discrimination comes into picture. Discriminate, think before you say anything.
Swami, when are you coming to Hong Kong?
Swami, when this flu business gets over in Hong Kong, we'll come. Everybody from Hong Kong is sending me message, "Swami, cure me of this flu. Looks like there is a little trouble in Hong Kong, but it's going to go. After that we will come." There is some more time. Let there be a little more hunger for God. You will enjoy the meal more. With this, we will bring this session to a close. And whatever we have learnt here, please don't just listen from this ear and take it out from the other. Put it in your heart, and then through your words, your thoughts, your hands, that is actions, let these thoughts manifest. Let these feelings manifest. Make sure that as you walked into the hall, and as you walk out, you are different, you are better, you are purer, you are more determined to put Swami's message into practice. Benefit by that and help others as well. With these words of blessings, we bring this satsang to a close. Bhajan Abhina?
साईं भजन बिना सुख शांति नहीं, साईं भजन बिना सुख शांति नहीं, साईं नाम बिना आनंद नहीं, साईं नाम बिना आनंद नहीं, प्रेम भक्ति बिना उद्धार नहीं, प्रेम भक्ति बिना उद्धार नहीं, जन सेव बिना निर्वाण नहीं, जन सेव बिना निर्वाण नहीं, साईं भजन बिना सुख शांति नहीं, जप ध्यान बिना संयोग नहीं, जप ध्यान बिना संयोग नहीं। प्रभु दर्श बिना प्रज्ञान नहीं। प्रभु दर्श बिना प्रज्ञान नहीं। दय धर्म बिना सत्कर्म नहीं। दय धर्म बिना सत्कर्म नहीं। भगवान बिना कोई अपना नहीं। भगवान बिना कोई अपना नहीं। साईं नाथ बिना परमात्मा नहीं। साईं नाथ बिना परमात्मा नहीं। साईं भजन बिना सुख शांति नहीं। साईं नाम बिना आनंद नहीं। प्रेम भक्ति बिना उद्धार नहीं। जन सेव बिना निर्वाण नहीं। जप ध्यान बिना संयोग नहीं। प्रभु दर्श बिना प्रज्ञान नहीं। दय धर्म बिना सत्कर्म नहीं। भगवान बिना कोई अपना नहीं। साईं नाथ बिना परमात्मा नहीं। साईं नाथ बिना परमात्मा नहीं। साईं भजन बिना सुख शांति 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 नहीं। साईं भजन बिना साईं नाम बिना आनंद नहीं। साईं भजन बिना सुख शांति नहीं। सुख शांति नहीं। सुख शांति नहीं। ओम जय जगदीश हरे, स्वामी सत्य साई हरे। भक्त जना संरक्षक, भक्त जना संरक्षक, पति महेश्वरा। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। सर्वा प्राणपते, स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते। आश्रित कल्पल दीना, आश्रित कल्पल दीना, आपदानवा। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। माता पिता गुरुदेवं पर्यन्तयुनीवे, स्वामी पर्यन्तयुनीवे। नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा, नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा, नागेशा शरणा। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। ओंकार रूप तस्मै साई महादेवा, सत्य साई महादेवा। मंगल आरती अंतको, मंगल आरती अंतको, करगी जगाई। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण नारायण। नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 नारायण। ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा। नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण नारायण। नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 नारायण। ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा। नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण नारायण। नारायण नारायण जय सद्गुरुदेव। शांति शांति शांति। समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु, समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु, समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु। शांति शांति शांति। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की।